Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you joined us for this first day of November. Can you believe it is almost the end of the year already?
And we also have joining us AMC Movie News Editor, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Hello, guys. No, I cannot believe it's November already. How did that happen?
Crazy.
And Chrisley, just a little shout out. You looked amazingly hot and wonderful. Thanks for representing. If I was here yesterday, I would have also been in a costume. John.
I totally forgot it was Halloween.
And I was at Arcade Fire last night, and it was the most amazing show, and I hope you all had a great Halloween as well.
Well, a report emerged this week from The Hollywood Reporter that suggested head of Lucasfilm and producer of the new Star Wars Episode VII, Kathleen Kennedy, requested to push the release date of the new Star Wars, which is currently slated to come out in 2015, back to 2016 to make sure the script is in the best possible shape. However, Disney Studios CEO Robert Iger said no and wants the movie for its 2015 release date. This all comes on the heels of Episode VII screenwriter Michael Arndt leaving the project and J.J. Abrams and Empire Strikes Back writer Lawrence Kasdan taking over the script writing duties. John, should Disney have allowed Lucasfilm to push Star Wars Episode VII back to 2016?
No, not at all. No way, no how. I'm sorry. You've already been on this for a year, and it's 2 more years before it's supposed to come out. There is no excuse for not having a picture, even the size and the scale of a Star Wars Episode VII, ready in time. Look, I've used this analogy before, and sure, this is a rare example. You know, Joss Whedon and the director of Cabin in the Woods, you know, the famous story. They checked into a hotel one weekend, wrote the entire script for Cabin in the Woods in 1 weekend. Now, I'm sure they touched it up after that and all that kind of stuff. They've been working on this for a year already. It doesn't take that long to write a script. It just doesn't. You already know what direction you're going in. Pre-production has started. They've already slated schedules for all the other Star Wars movies coming after it, plus their whole franchising business, their whole the toy business, all the materials, all that kind of stuff is already in place because you had plenty of time to get this thing ready. Now, the interesting thing about this report, too, is that apparently J.J. Abrams is okay with sticking with 2015. It's really more Kathleen Kennedy who's been freaking out a little bit and saying, oh, we might need to push this. No, this is plenty of time. And you know what? I was reading some chat boards this morning. Sure enough, the whole thing, again, everything is the man's fault. Everything is, whoever the man is, it's the man's fault. And a lot of people saying, oh, no, give them the time to do it right. Guess what? 3 years is enough time to do it right. And on top of that, sometimes in these types of situations, if you have too much time, that's a bad thing. Because now when you're not laser focused and on target and you work within deadlines, a lot of creative people work their best within those. And you give them too much time, suddenly things start getting overthought, you start doing too much on this and too much on that. No. 3 years, plenty of time. You've had this date since 2012. Meet it. Absolutely, they did the right thing by making them stick to 2015. Amy Rose, am I out to lunch here? How do you see it?
I am a little more torn than you are. On one hand, yes, 2015 is still a ways away, and this production's already well on its way. And, you know, I am a little nervous that Michael Arndt left, and they're shifting things around. But at the same time, you know, you say it's quick to write a script, but this is Star Wars. This is a very rich galaxy. And Cabin in the Woods, as you mentioned, I loved that movie. That's one of my favorite horror spoofs in a long, long time. But it had everything in there, sci-fi, horror, comedy. So it had a certain level of campiness that they could get away with, but I don't want my Star Wars campy. They can't just throw that together in a couple days. JJ and obviously Kasdan, I love them, and I hope that they can step it up. But Kathleen Kennedy's a very, very smart woman.
Very smart woman.
Very smart woman. And if she doesn't have enough confidence in this production and wants a little more time, that makes me a little nervous. Makes me a little nervous, just saying. I do think that sometimes, you know, I know for myself, I'm good under pressure. If I have too much time, I do procrastinate a bit. So to your point, I do think if they stretch it too long, that might not be good either. But this doesn't instill that much, not hope. I still have so much hope and excitement for this. But if Kathleen Kennedy, who they entrusted her with this huge, huge project, is a little nervous about it and wants more time, maybe you should listen to the woman, just saying. So I don't think it's so black and white. I am a little torn, but I do think the fact that they try to get more time and they said no is going to kind of raise the stakes a little bit and make everyone kind of band together and hopefully get it done with, you know, a story we can be really proud of. Because you saw the prequels, they had plenty of time with that, and you obviously didn't like it too much.
Yeah, they had all the time in the world to make the prequels, all the time in the world, and did those turn out great? No. So yeah, there we go. What's next?
The first new trailers for the upcoming Josh Brolin, Kate Winslet film, Labor Day, have hit the web. Directed by Jason Reitman, Labor Day centers on a 13-year-old Henry Wheeler who struggles to be the man of his house and care for his reclusive mother, Adele, while confronting all the pangs of adolescence. On a back-to-school shopping trip, Henry and his mother encounter Frank Chambers, a man both intimidating and clearly in need of help, who convinces them to take him into their home and later is revealed to be an escaped convict. The events of this long Labor Day weekend will shape them for the rest of their lives. Amy Rose, what do you think of these new trailers for Labor Day?
I was really impressed. I love the song, I love the tone. Reitman is a really, really talented director, and I think this is a bit of a departure. I mean, Up in the Air, Thank You for Smoking, Juno, these are all amazing films, and this one looks very intense. I mean, they all have a lot of social commentary and a lot of amazing things put in, you know, really elevated by great characters. This looks like a very different tone, and I'm really excited about it. I thought the trailer didn't reveal too much, which I really appreciate, but definitely built interest. There's not everything as it seems, and talk about talent. I mean, Josh Brolin, I think he's been taking really good steps for his career. He's very likable, but I've never thought he was the most incredible actor. He had me at Goonies, I mean, obviously, but I do think that he's been, you know, Old Boy, and this, I think he's definitely showing his range. I mean, he's a solid actor, but Kate Winslet, she is just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
The woman can do no wrong in my eyes. She can do everything right, and I think the two of them is a very interesting pairing, aided by the tone that looks really cool. And again, I really like when they don't reveal everything. It's building up, but I feel like I don't know the whole story yet. So yeah, I was really impressed by the trailers.
Yeah, Kate Winslet, she's one of these actresses where whatever role she gets, you can take to the bank that that role, she will get the most out of that role that any actress could possibly get out of that role. She's just that caliber of actress. I'm a huge fan of Jason Reitman. I think he's a better director than his dad. And he's batting 1,000. You're talking about Up in the Air, Young Adult, Juno, Thank You for Smoking. This guy's amazing. He's just absolutely incredible. But I don't like this trailer. I gotta admit. And here's the thing too. The trailer did not do it for me. I did not like the pacing of it. It didn't give me a sense of the tone. I have no doubt. This is one of the situations where I didn't like the trailer. It didn't do it for me. And yet I have zero doubt in my mind the movie's going to be amazing. I just know it will be amazing. But to be honest, if we're talking about the trailer, for me personally, the trailer didn't really do it for me.
Can you appreciate how good that song was, though?
Sure. Yes. Yay.
No, because you mentioned in Captain America when it ruined it.
That's
and I feel
right.
like music is so important and
for a trailer, especially.
For a trailer, so.
All right, folks, listen, we've reached that part of the show called Buy and Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Amy Rose and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
The Tumblr site for the Daily Bugle newspaper featured a special editorial by the paper's publisher, Jonah Jameson, yesterday, calling into question the hero status of the city's new masked vigilante known as Spider-Man. Jameson raises suspicion about the intentions of the would-be hero and ends his editorial by saying, heroes do not need to promote their actions, but they also do not hide from the people they help. Until Spider-Man tells us more about himself, he is no hero. I dare him to prove me wrong. Amy Rose, buy or sell this editorial by Jonah Jameson?
I'm going to buy it. If Ron Burgundy can do it, Jonah Jameson can do it. I actually think that this kind of marketing is very clever. I love when it's not, you know, slap in your face branding. I think it's clever. And I still hear J.K. Simmons' voice in my head because he was just so amazing as that character. So yeah, I think it's clever. Why not?
When I read this editorial, I'm going to buy this too, by the way. When I read this editorial, without even thinking about it, I had JK's voice in the back of my head. That's all I heard. Look, I've said this before in the show. I will say it again. I'm going to continue, campaigning for this. I'm the type of guy who believes if you are rebooting something, you throw everything out Everything. All the actors, directors, writers, if you're rebooting it, then reboot. Don't carry things over. The one exception I will make to this rule is J.K. as J. Jonah. This dude was born. And you know how sometimes we say Robert Downey Jr. was like born to play Tony Stark? J.K. was born to play J. Jonah.
So good.
I mean, I would love this guy. And that's all I could hear in my head. I was reading it and I stopped and realized I hear his voice in my head doing this.
Exactly.
And it is cute. This is a great little viral marketing campaign thing. I didn't even realize until this morning that the Daily Bugle had a Tumblr page. This is a very, very cute approach. I don't even know that they're going to have J. Jonah in the movie. Yeah. But I think this is kind of pointing that somewhere down the line, we have to.
He's iconic.
Absolutely. He's going to be there at some point. So yeah, for me, it's a buy.
Gets you super excited for the next Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's being reported that Paramount Pictures has hired 28 Weeks Later director Juan Carlos Fresnadillo to direct their upcoming remake of Stephen King's Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary, which was released in 1983, tells the story of a northeastern pet cemetery built on a Native American burial ground where less than desirable things happen when a pet is buried there. John, buy or sell a remake of Pet Sematary?
I buy. This is great. It's like back in the day, this was kind of the same thing, like today it's all zombie outbreaks, zombie infection outbreaks. Back then it was blah, 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 built on an old Indian cemetery. I mean, that was the thing, right? Whether it was Poltergeist or Pet Sematary. This movie, the original Pet Sematary, freaked the hell out of me. It absolutely freaked it. Now, granted, I was pretty young when it came out, but still. And, you know, I really liked the job that he did on 28 Weeks Later. It wasn't, I didn't love the movie, but I thought the direction of the film was actually really quite well done. So I'm encouraged that they're doing this. I think this is a good film to remake. It has some good potential. I like the pairing with the director. For me, it's a buy.
Yeah, I'm actually going to buy it as well, which surprises me a little because, you know, my general stance on remakes, I'm getting a little exhausted from them. But 28 Days Later was so much better, but 28 Weeks Later was still pretty solid in tone, exactly. And I think that he does have a cool direction. And this is a classic film, but I do think that it would benefit from, you know, better effects. And it's so funny, all these like killer animal squirrels that you love so much.
I cannot wait to see squirrels. Squirrels is going to be awesome.
That's
Mark
the new
my
fear.
words.
The new terror that is spreading.
No need for killer animals. It's been reported that Game of Thrones star Carice Van Houten has signed on to star with Aaron Eckhart in the upcoming supernatural thriller Incarnate. Incarnate will be directed by Brad Payton, who made Journey to the Mysterious Island, and follows an exorcist played by Eckhart, who comes up against an evil from his past when he uses his supernatural skills to enter the subconscious of a 9-year-old boy. Amy Rose, buy or sell Houten joining Incarnate?
Buy. I think she is fantastic. I love her character on Game of Thrones. Red Witch, Melisandre. She's so cool. She was just in The Fifth Estate, and while I had mixed feelings of that film, she's good. She's got a very striking look. She's very good with her timing. I think she's very talented, and I definitely want to see her kind of, you know, she's really good in that role, as we've already seen, because she's kind of evil. And I love Aaron Eckhart, and this film sounds really interesting to me. So yeah, buy all around.
I'm going to sell it. We're seeing a long string now of Game of Thrones stars popping up in different movies, and I guarantee you 5 years from now, none of them are going to have movie careers.
Whoa, John.
They're just not. That's the track record. It's the proof's in the pudding. It's just the way it is. I would have liked to have seen, I really do like the sounds of this movie, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a better, more big screen experience actor starring alongside of him personally. Once again, keeping an open mind, she may knock this completely out of the park. I do like the Red Witch in Game of Thrones. Yeah. Like I said, though, it's just not the move I would have made, but give her the benefit of the doubt and we'll see how she turns out. But for now, for me, it's a sell.
Could the infamous Galvatron be making an appearance in the upcoming Transformers Age of Extinction? According to a report surfacing around the web, a Hasbro list has leaked revealing the names of several of the toys coming out for the new film, and one of the names on that list was indeed Galvatron. John, if this is true, buy or sell Galvatron being in the new Transformers movie?
I gotta buy it, actually. For those of you who don't know, in the original Transformers animated film, Megatron and Optimus Prime have this big fight, and they both end up dying. But the body of Megatron is taken by Unicron. Wow, I'm just, if I was still single, women would be sending me their email addresses like crazy. The body of the body of Megatron is taken by Unicron and resurrected, as you will, as a new villain, Galvatron. So he's kind of Megatron, just kind of in a new body. But Galvatron is badass. He's he's a worthy heir to the Megatron throne, if you will. He's a very cool character. We've been wondering if we'd see him at some point. It would make sense, because look, Megatron has already died a couple of times in just 3 Transformers movies. How many times can you kill him off and bring him back? This gives them a device to bring Megatron back in a way, resurrected as Galvatron, different character, new motif. I think it's a good move if this is what they're doing, so for me it's a buy.
Also a buy. You know, Bay, I wanted to give up on you, and you're just bringing it back with Dinobots and Galvatron, and, you know, my interest is definitely climbing a bit for this film, and I kind of got sick of this franchise because it didn't go in the direction I wanted it to. But, yeah, I think these are really good steps to take, and all the actors they lined up and everything, yeah, this could be interesting. I'm into it.
All right, folks, before we get into Mailbag, one of the films opening in AMC theaters everywhere this weekend is the new film based on the highly popular book Ender's Game, starring Asa Butterfield and, of course, Harrison Ford. Our very own Chrisley Kennedy had the opportunity recently to go and sit down with Harrison Ford to talk to him about the new movie. We want to share that conversation with you right now, so check it out.
First of all, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
I read Ender's Game twice. I read it once as a child and once as an adult. And as a child, I hated Colonel Graff. And as an adult, I loved Colonel Graff. He became one of my favorite characters.
Really?
Favorite characters. The relationship between you and Ender was brilliant, and you were able to portray that so wonderfully. So I want to know, at this point in your career, you know, what is so fulfilling about movies like this for you?
Well, you know, first of all, I love to dress up and pretend to be somebody else, live another life. But also, I do like to be part of a film that's got some, both an emotional importance and a sort of commitment to a moral observation, if not a solution, at least an observation about our lives and our relationships. And I think this movie has very important themes in it for young people, for parents, for societies, and I think I would really like to see this become a family event for young people and their parents to go see this together. I think that it'll generate conversations that could be important to both sides.
I agree. I think everyone needs to read the book and see the film, because it does have some great impact on our lives. I mean, for mine it did. When you're working with Gavin, who this was a very personal story for as well, what's it like being on set with him?
Well, he's very enthusiastic. He's very creative. He's spent a lot of energy and has a huge commitment to the film, to the story. It was a pleasure to work with him.
And you had a cast of entirely young, well, almost entirely young actors. So is it a learning experience for both of you being on set? Do you learn just as much from them?
You know, you learn every time you go to work. New people, and it doesn't really, you know, age is not a huge consideration. The young people that worked on this film are very professional, very talented, committed, have a good work ethic. It was just a pleasure to be with them.
Why will AMC theater audiences love Ender's Game?
Well, I think it's a visual experience that you have not seen before. I think you'll be emotionally moved by the themes and considerations of this film. I think you'll get some emotional exercise. I think it's a great experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Ender's Game opens in AMC theaters everywhere tonight. As a matter of fact, head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Good job, Chrisley.
Thank you.
We've reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. We do get over 1,000 emails a week with questions. We only have time to get to a few, but right now Chrisley's got a couple pulled out. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
Jake Harrington writes, "Hey AMC guys and girls, love the show. My question is about movie 43. From what I have seen on the web, movie 43 was hated by all. It has a critic rating of 4% and a fan rating of 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought the movie was funny and stupid in a good way. I thought it was nice to see a relaxing, pointless movie that was just a compilation of funny videos. To me, it's like if YouTube made a movie. So what did you guys think about movie 43, and do you think it deserves such a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes?"
Yes. I've walked out of 3 movies in my life. I walked out of Dark Water, I walked out of that Johnny Knoxville thing where he pretended to be mentally handicapped, The Ringer. I walked out of that. And I've walked out of movie 43 about halfway through. Now, this is a great time again point. Look, all film's subjective. Just because I didn't think the film was good doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad
4%.
there was. Yeah, I'm glad there is somebody out there who did. It was so bad, even the cast refused to go to the red carpet premiere. The cast didn't even show up for the red carpet premiere. But I think the key to this one here is, look, when you say, I think it's cool to have a movie that's just filled with relaxing, pointless, a movie that is just a compilation of funny videos. The key word there is funny. And for me, movie 43 just wasn't funny. I wanted it to be funny. I wanted to laugh. But, you know, funny and humor is just as subjective as everything else. You know, Chris Lee could tell a joke and maybe I'll laugh and Amy Rose won't. Doesn't mean it wasn't funny. Doesn't mean it was. It just struck us both differently. So, yeah, it was pretty universally hated. And I got to admit, I'm not afraid to say that I love a movie that everybody hates. I'm not afraid to say that I hate a movie that everybody loves. But I hate this movie that everybody hates. So that's just me.
What a waste of amazing cast, right?
Oh, my goodness. The cast, the biggest, best ensemble cast
Ever.
in comedy film history. What a waste.
Just for the record, my jokes are always funny.
Always.
Just for the
Yes.
record, I would laugh, girl, and you know I would. I got you.
I knew that. John T. writes, I was curious how one starts a production company. As a writer/filmmaker, I don't like the idea of the studio owning the intellectual property. I would want to hang on to the rights, ensuring the future of the franchise was ultimately my decision. How do you get funding for a film without giving up the rights? Also, how do you start a production company?
What you're kind of describing there, and look, I've made a couple of projects, but I'm by no means a Hollywood veteran director-producer, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But what you're talking about is really the pie-in-the-sky wishful thinking of everybody who comes to Hollywood. I want somebody to just give me all the money to make my dreams come true and give up nothing in return. That's not the way the world works. I mean, look, if I'm a guy, if I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire, and Amy Rose comes to me with an idea to make a film, that may sound good and everything, but guess what? There are literally 10,000 people in LA right now with finished scripts that they would love to get some funding for. So I'm talking to Amy Rose, and I'm thinking about risking my money, putting up, I don't know, $1 million of my dollars or $2 million of my dollars, whatever. Guess what? I'm going to own it. If I'm paying for it, I own it. It's just that simple. It's just that play. That's the way life works. So Amy Rose will go, well, I want this thing made. And so I pay for it, I pay her for it. Hopefully then her name gets a little bit bigger. It becomes a big hit. Now she's in demand. So she writes another thing that she sells, again, but she gets bigger. Then at some point you get to the level of a Peter Jackson. At some point you get to the level of a Christopher Nolan, where now studios will say, just let us play in your sandbox and we'll pay for it and you get to keep the ownership and blah, blah, blah. But that's a long way down the road. The fact of the matter is, there isn't a magic pill you can swallow and go, now millionaires are going to come out of the woodwork, studios are going to come out of the woodwork and just give me all the money and I get to keep everything. That's not the way it works. You know, it's funny, the CEO here at the Stream.TV studios, Susan, who was as a former senior vice president of Paramount Pictures, I actually wanted her to come on the show and talk about this, but I got in late. So we weren't able to make that happen. But I mean, obviously that's the dream. I would love somebody to just hand me wads of cash, assume all the financial risk, and take nothing from me. That would be great, but you wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't do it. So I don't think we should expect millionaires and studios and things to do it either. They're in it. They put up the financial risk. They're the ones in the position to reap the rewards. And until you get bigger or you pay for it yourself, that's just kind of the way that it works. There are exceptions, obviously, in everything. There are exceptions, but they are the exceptions, not the rule. Amy Rose, how do you see this whole thing?
You're looking at the exception. I'm worth it. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, definitely, but it all comes down to credibility. People want to have, you know, a rate of return on their investment. That's just how it goes. And, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, your interview with him, I thought brought up all these points because, you know, you asked him, why now? You've been in this game for a while. Why are you making your directorial debut now? And he said, I didn't want a studio to come to me and say, this is great, but we're going to change the ending. He established a certain amount of credibility and fame and likability and talent that people trusted his voice. They wanted to invest in him. And I think that's what it comes down to.
And it was a minimal investment.
It was a minimal
Yeah,
investment.
minimal investment.
You know, no effects. It was a very real, minimal film, but amazing at that. And I definitely think that's what it comes down to. I mean, everyone has to pay their dues. I would love for millionaires to invest in the script that I'm working on right now that I think is really good. You're gonna think it's really good too, but there's a certain reality that, especially the marketplace being as competitive as it is, you know, really good ideas only go so far. As we know with production, there are thousands of players behind the big ones, and it's you know, they want to make sure they're investing in the right place. So just keep working hard and putting, you know, paying your dues, and eventually when you get to that point, people are going to want to invest in you. I mean, look at Josh Trank. No one really knew who he was before Chronicle. Now he is a very highly coveted director. People are so excited for Fantastic Four, even though we've heard all this madness. But, you know, I'm really excited because I think he is a true up-and-coming visionary. So,
and yet even he does not own Fantastic Four.
No
one's given him the ownership of it.
But the credibility is rising,
Yes.
and you know, that's just the name of the game. So keep working hard, and you'll get there.
All right, folks, so listen, that'll do it for us. We've run all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Listen, don't forget, if you haven't done so already, become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show and our weekend AMC Mailbag show. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. And listen, if you want an audio-only version of this episode so you can listen to us on your way to work or whatever, or maybe while you're at work, hide it from your boss, look in the description of this video. You'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher radio. I want to thank our movie news editor here at AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, where can people find you online?
On Twitter at Amy Rosie. Great being here today.
And now that Wonder Woman has let Crystal Lee out of the cage and let Crystal Lee back, Crystal Lee, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Crystal Lee.
And my wife is actually sitting in studio here today. She's sitting over there. She's keeping me on time and task, so I got to go. My name is John Campy. Just find me on any of the social media networks. Just add John Campy. That simple. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Until next time, my name is John Campy for AMC Movie News. And until then, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.